It's a style of bike that I'd wanted since I was about 18, 19. But obviously, there was no resources in the UK at that time, you know, to get stuff sent from the States was impossible. You didn't find many bike builders that were into that style of bike, the 60s, 70s style of bike. Now this was about 1970, I suppose 75, 76. And there was just nobody in the country doing them, but certainly not where I lived in the northeast. The first bike I got was a 5-tier speed twin, and the first thing I did was, with the help of my dad, albeit, start stripping it down and doing something different with it. He said, make it standard. No, I want to do something different. So I sort of chopped it, a very rudimentary type of chop, and then flogged it, and then bought another bike, and then did that one, flogged that, bought another one. And I think the last bike I had really was a Sportster. So I was left with the impression I love Sportsters, a V-twin configuration, design of the engine, the sound it makes, for example. It has a unique sound. It's essentially because it's different. I think that's the main thing. And when I look at bikes that you can buy off the shelf, you just go, well, everybody's got those. Everybody has one of those. With the type of bikes I ride now, there's a small group of people who are like-minded, quite independent free spirits. I mean, like Benny, for example. I mean, he chose not to take his talents into a factory or in a normal job. Right from day one, he was building bikes himself in his shed, in his garage, and then it just turned into a business. It wasn't a conscious choice.
It was the standard engine, but it was just all a bit ratty and tatty looking, so we've stripped it all down, bored it out to 1200. Yeah. It was just an 883. Scotch brighted all the rocker covers and the bits and bobs and just cleaned it up a bit, really. Made it look pretty.
There you go.
That's got it. She ain't going to go anywhere.
That's there.
Oh,
Bob, the tank on.
Result. Right, you're going to start it then?
Yeah. You didn't really see stuff like this. The only blokes you saw when I was a kid were like, you know, proper bike clubs or Hells Angels, and they're on the big old shovel heads and stuff, and you just didn't see like choppers like this. Or not where I lived anyway. You just didn't see stuff like this sort of flying around. But I was always into them and I always had them. And there you go, I'll sit in there. And yeah, I couldn't buy one, so I decided to build one myself because I couldn't get the bits, like, you know, I just saw these ones bikes in magazines. I thought, how do I make one of them? And I managed to find a frame and an engine and stuff when I was about 15, 16 and sort of built one up, which in hindsight was probably a bit of a nail. But built it up and got on the road and used it and sold it, and then somebody else liked it and somebody else bought one, so it all just sort of spiraled from there, really.
Benny's a funny one because obviously I was into this style of bike, and I was looking for someone who could help me either A, find parts, or B, help me build it. With Benny, I found both. I bought the Flywheeltv kit, whacked it up here on a trailer, and then fucking about 8 days later.
8 days later, yeah. Well, he's meant to be coming to a show with us, you see. So
yeah.
He said, look, I've got to get it done, I've got to get it done for this. So I went, oh, yeah, all right, great. So,
yeah.
So we all blitzed it, and everyone was on it.
And what he's trying to say is I let him down.
Yeah, and basically
I was fucking working, wasn't I?
We rang him and went, you come in. You know? What we're into, I mean, we're just all into the bikes, you know. It doesn't really matter sort of what you look like or where you go or whatever. You're just into the bikes and have fun riding them.
When I go out riding, you'll notice other motorcyclists notice your bike. You know, they sort of nod, like all bikers do, and then they go, oh, double take. Instead of nod another bike, another plastic bike, another bike, oh, all right, mate, you got the same as me. It's nod, and then, whoa, what was that? So it's partly that as well. It's an ego sort of thing.
Whatever anybody says, anybody that rides a chopper knows full well that you look at them and you always get a buzz, don't you, if you're pulling up with the lights, you know what I mean? And oh, it's great. If you're on a bike like Baz and you pull up with the lights and your t-shirt, you know, and it's a beautiful sunny day and you get some boring lad my age, you know, with these boring miss sitting in the car and they're looking over like that. And it's just a buzz. And you're just going to get some milk or something into you, do you know what I mean? You're not doing anything special. You're just going to go and get a lottery ticket or something, but they're all like, oh, look at that, bloody hell.
Aesthetically, you look at it and you go, that's a motorcycle. But the frame is very low, 1.5 inch clearance on the ground. There's no suspension. It's what's called a hardtail, which is the way bikes were anyway originally, before the advent of shock absorbers and suspension systems. But you've got those springs under the seat to compensate. The other thing is the rear fender's bobbed. It's cut short, so again you get rainwater coming off the back probably, but that looks cool. Not the rainwater hitting you, the short fender. It's like fashion, you know, it's like all trends. You sort of hark back to the past and go, it was always better in the past. Because it's a romantic ideal. And that's, of course, what that's all about. It's the romantic ideal, the lifestyle.
Chopper is just like a generic term. One person's idea of a chopper isn't you know, some people would argue with me what I build, you know. A generic term, people will call bikes like these bobbers, and that's not strictly true. Well, it's not true at all. Really what I build, I suppose, are custom built motorcycles. Well, this is a custom built bike because it's built, it's an aftermarket frame, it's new parts, it's all put together and fabricated. A bobber is a bike it's like an early Harley, an original frame. What people used to do after the Second World War, and that the returning servicemen in the States used to take these big, like, full dresser kind of bikes. They get a big long mudguard and they cut it there, they take the front mudguard off, they put smaller bars on, they put different wheels, different tyres, like they get rid of all the saddlebags and all the extra crash bars and all that, and just strip these lightweight bobbers down. And that's kind of where it started. And then after that, people started cutting frames and, you know, raking them and raking the angle and putting fancy paint on them and extending forks and stuff. And to me, that's where I think the sort of choppers were born. And that's when they got a bit more fancy. And then they sort of, in the 60s, they built some real cool choppers. And then in the 70s, it all went out the window a bit with fucking 6-pen pullback bars and, you know, real bad taste. But now it's sort of creeping back towards the sort of roots of it.
Those bikes are built for big, long highways. You know, I like that style of bike. It probably doesn't suit the roads in the UK, but that's not the reason I got the bike. I got it because it's that style of bike that I like. I mean, from time to time the roads are a little bit slippy around here, but I didn't get it for speed. I got it because it looks good. And if I'm going too fast, people aren't even going to see it. The styles of bikes,
the Frisco like, style, which I
yeah.
like, is the sort of early, we'd say early 60s, is sort of on that 60s
yeah.
style, what the Hells Angels used to ride in those days, and they'd be skinny, stripped down bikes, not dissimilar to that style bike here. Typical Frisco style is they'd get a tank like this, and they'd mount it so it was, they'd mount the tank so it sits up like that. Sort of the basic idea is so you can get more fuel in it. So you mount the tank up there, you move the filler cap, cut a hole here and re-weld it there, and then move your petrol tap back there. So theoretically you get that little bit more fuel, but it's also a cool look, you know. The stuff I do is just my own stuff. It's not, you know, copies of anything. They're just how it was done then, but what we've got now. You know, I do get phone calls of people saying, look, I've got a brand new bloody dyna rod thing, whatever it is, from Harley Davidson. Can you put a massive fat back tyre in it? And
a dyno rod.
What are they called?
It's a dyno, isn't it?
But like I say, I'll just say, well, it ain't what I do. Do you know what I mean? I'll go and get a donor bike. Me and Bob will go out, buy a bike, you know, check it's all running, check it's sweet, strip it down if any work needs doing. Bobby will do the work on it and get them running, and that works out better for me because I know, you know, I've supplied everything then.
So you just keep literally just keeping the engine off that.
I'll keep if the engine runs all right, which we hopefully find out in a bit. I've had it running, but had it running pretty rough. So if it gets fired up now and Bob set it up right and it's running all right, I'm going to keep the motor and the gearbox and the back wheel. I think I'm going to stick it in a rigid frame like that one there and do something pretty similar to him, really.
Whoa! He is quite an innovative guy, having a fine arts background. He's got a good eye for line, for form, for shape. He knows exactly what he likes, and it's strange because a lot of people who aren't into that type of bike will still say, "Oh yeah, he builds really neat bikes." You know, I wouldn't ride one, mainly because they're too bloody dangerous.
Because originally the Harley Davidsons would have been, they'd have had a hand shift, so they'd have had a tank shift here, but you'd had a big fat tank, and your clutch would have been on your foot, like a car. But what they had like a sort of friction clutch, so you could actually like, put your foot down and leave it there, if you like. But you know, so you could take your feet off the pegs and put your feet down. But what kids started doing, they used to chop those down and get rid of the friction drive and have what you call like a suicide clutch. And the idea of that is when you push it down, if you take your foot off it, it'll just spring back. So you know, hence the name suicide. If you take your foot off it and you stuck you on a fucking Vauxhall Vectra or something, the chances are you're going to go straight to the back of it. But with the hand shifter, we move them down to here. So to change gear on this, you'd have to put your foot on the clutch and shift with your hand, which would be somewhere down here. No, it's got no front brake on this. And a drum brake on the back as well, so it don't work very well. Yeah, the choppers that we do now, I mean, generally I'll fit disc brakes front and back. Sometimes I'll put a spool hub on the front, but generally it'll have a good disc on the back. I'm sure if them kind of disc brakes would have been available in the 60s, that's what people would have used, but they weren't, so they didn't. You know, so this is a bit of a silly thing to build, but it's like a nostalgia. I don't know whether you'd class it, well, it's just a 45 to me. I don't know whether you'd class it as a chopper or a bobber or what.
I have a front brake. Many bobber chopper builders don't have a front brake because it spoils the line of the bike, but my front brakes are made specially by Flywheeltv. They're a specific design, so I've got those on the front because I need to have some stopping power. You know, I'll have a dog to come back home to.
There's lots of people doing, there's lots of people importing them from the States now, and they're great, you know, a lot of them are very well built, very big book bikes, you know, sort of 25, 30 grand plus bikes, and they're nice stuff, but it's not what it's about to me. To me, it's a bit like surfing, if you like, you know, if I turned up at the fucking sea with a surfboard under my arm, like me and him saying, yeah, all right, we want to be surfers, and somebody would just say, look lads, you just don't get it, you know what I mean? You don't just get up and do it and wear the outfits and stuff.
It's a lifestyle, isn't it?
I think so, yeah. You know, I mean, the good thing about us, we've all got like a, you know, we've all got a similar, you know, similar outlook on it, haven't we? And you know, and all the bikes are different. We're all different people, all different jobs, all different bloody, you know, backgrounds and family situations or whatever. We've all got a similar way of looking at things. But the big pubs and that don't really appeal to me. You know, you'll go there, it's full of like race bikes and that, which are all right, but not my kind of thing. You turn up and everybody is all over you. You know, you won't leave your bike alone.
You see at the bashes, you get a mixture of like boy racers and Hells Angels, outlaws, those sort of bikers. And it's funny because Hells Angels and Outlaws are the ones who started that trend anyway. It's the 1%ers who sort of started chopping bikes up.
If we're out, I'll just like to nip around, you know, local country boozers and that and go for a laugh and ride around town and do stuff like that. With, you know, 6 or 7 mates on bikes, similar bikes, it's all good fun. You know, if I say I'll meet Baz for a pint, you know, it's not like, oh, you're going on your chopper, I'll give him a chopper out, you know. It's just, oh no, I'll be on my bike and Baz will probably be on his, you know, and we'll just turn up, have a couple of drinks and talk nonsense for a while. Oh, I've got a bike, it's in fucking bits over there. Well, I've got 2. I've got 2 and none of them work. But that's shovel head. I think that's going to be the one I'm going to strip that down, put it in a nice little rigid frame. I've never had a standard bike in my life, never. Yeah. I've only ever had choppers.